All right, ladies and gents, welcome. A bit weird that I'd be casting just the Game 5 this professionally, but I missed games 1 through 3. I had to speed up to catch up to game number 4. And the fact of the matter is, this is the final game in Nations Cup 2023 in the losers bracket for two very, very big countries. We had France, who is actually seed number 1 coming into Nations Cup. I would have had them in my top 5 of favorites, probably not number 1 or number 2 or number 3, but still, really talented squad. I'm going to introduce them in a second, and then China B is stacked with players, the majority of which are underrated. If I have time, I will talk about it. The map here is 2 rivers, and I'm going to use my mouse cursor on the mini-map. Apologies for the big trees, by the way. I want to show you how the teams are positioned. We've got France this way, okay? So France is like this, and then you've got China like this. Bit weird, right? So each teams have a player which is somewhat exposed in the middle region. You have crossings on these rivers that connect to either team. So it's a little tricky to know exactly how it's going to pan out. It doesn't always spawn exactly like this either. But again, I'm going to be covering a lot more Nations Cup over the next couple weeks as it concludes. I'm really excited for that. I'm hoping this is a banger of a game that eventually hits YouTube. So YouTube, if you're excited, don't worry. I will have full sets as well. That'll be in the main channel and extras channel. But it's either I just sit back and not cover this amazing game, which is hugely important for both teams, or I do so and just miss out on the early games. But we've got some interesting civs here. So you don't have your traditional flank situation where you've got a flank on either side and then 2 pockets. I think this would be the flank for China. This would be the flank for France. And I recall watching a game. It was actually Brazil versus France in the main bracket. France ended up beating Brazil, sending Brazil and their legends down to the losers bracket. A week after that, France runs into Argentina, loses to Argentina. So now we're watching France in the losers bracket. Has been interesting to see Brazil, by the way, because Brazil hasn't lost a game in the losers bracket yet, and they're looking very good. But anyways, I'm kind of talking about some different things. But what I think is going to be so important here for France is that Citeaux has a free boom. Citeaux is the Cumans. Cumans can make 2 TCs in the feudal age, and he's pretty far away from everybody, right? It's not going to be very easy to be damaged or for the others to damage him. Now, what Citeaux needs to do is he needs to decide on if he's going to fish or not. Looks like you could see the other pocket, you could say, or the player next to him, Siscon. Siscon is going to fish. And you could also see how active his scout is currently. And he's trying to find out if there's going to be any docking here for China B. Now, this teal player, I don't know if he's Jibbatong or if he is bad koala. Both players are very solid, but he's one of those two. He could have easily gone for the safe fish. He's not doing that, which is very notable here. And you can see Siscon, I don't know how you say the pocket is docking here in French, excuse me. But he's going to note that there's 2 docks against his 1 here. And that could affect Citeaux's strategy. I think the reasoning for this is they want to threaten the water here. Because if you threaten the water and have success, there's 3 people that have docked this water. Meanwhile, over here, by the way, looks like that was probably scouts going down. No scout for blue. No scout for orange. But Clement gets a forward dock down. And he is directly next to Duity. So I'm surprised that we're seeing the slab player come forward fish. His fishing ships are going to be right next to red. I think if you're red and you see this, your job is just go water. There sometimes can be the thought of you going land here. But, I mean, you got to go water at the very least to defend Citeaux. Citeaux hasn't clicked up yet. We'll see if he's thinking about the second TC in feudal age. He might forego that, and he might actually just go for some water control in the middle. Let me drop some fun facts here for other players in this game, because I think you guys are going to be interested to hear this. Wandering Warriors Cup, a tournament that Dave and I hosted in January of 2022, was a nomad-only tourney in which we saw Duity, who's over here in the blue, by the way, playing as the Tatars, beat a player who was 400 elo higher than him. I'd never heard of Duity prior to the Wandering Warriors Cup tournament. He beat a player named Margugu, and Margugu is playing in this game. Margugu's over here. In the previous game, which I caught the tail end of, it was actually Duity versus Margugu, which was kind of fun to see. But I spoke to Yo, who is obviously a China A, right? Who's one of the favorites to win this whole tournament. And Yo was like, Duity's insane. He's amazing on Nomad. He also did say that he thinks Ming is one of the most underrated players in the scene right now. Ming is our gray player for China B. And he is the forward position here. But yeah, pretty close friends with Margugu. I've met him in person. And I remember, I think it was last time I spoke to him, because I've met him twice in person. He said that he was upset that The Legend of Duity had so many views on YouTube. Because, I mean, that was him losing, right? And he was like, oh, man, I remember losing that series and then seeing the video came out and how hyped people were for it. All right, so important to know what players are actually going for here, right? So we're going to see the scout go down for Ming. We have a stable for Sito. We'll see how that pans out. I honestly feel like this is my least favorite choice. I think if you go for water, you can kill the fish from the other pocket and the other flank, and you defend your own fish. I feel like it's going to be very hard to do damage with scouts, but that is a very Sito thing, is he likes to have land army. Just not sure I'm in love with it. I think he might also add the second town center, though, with the way he's sending vills this way. Obviously, we're going to have red go for water control. We're also going to have teal go for water control. Gray is not. Ming is going double archer range. This will be a problem for France. And this is such a smart decision from Sizcon, a player I could also give more details on. But because they didn't see a lot of docking from Gray, without even seeing the ranges, they had the game sense to know it will be archers. So if the stone walls are completed there, the archers would have to go this way, which is a possibility. Over here, we've got some more stone walling, but kind of awkward stone walls for Orange, as he's gone for water control. He has killed the fish for Ming, and it's important now for him that he's able to kill the fish from, again, either Bad Koala or Jibbatong. I'm not sure who is who, but it does look like the Poles player is playing somewhat defensive on water. Duity under a lot of pressure because he's lost his fish, and he now has to do damage with archers. So China kind of finds themselves in a similar situation on what you could consider the flanks, where they have to get through with their land army. They're making lots of land army. I don't know if they're going to be expecting the walls from France. And we actually had scouts from Margugu. But Margugu has tons of fish. How's this going over here? Dude, guys, like Sizcon, if he wins this area, it is so good for France. Sito will be completely untouched. Margugu can continue to fish. And man, I mean, oh, this might look like it was good initially. You cannot let those galleys find your teammate here, Sizcon. Oh, goodness. Those galleys have moved right on by. A lot of them are weak, but they will still kill fishing ships. And that might end up working out, actually. Okay, galleys here. You can see some complications for Clement. And then scouts here from Sito. Whoa, Sito made a lot of scouts, and he's in on the wood line. Sorry for no small trees. Huge moment here for France, because I think Sito's losing his fish right now. That's a frustrating feeling. And actually what you should do, if you are teal, is you should move right on by to Margugu. They're not on gold. They're not in a position to make more, or to make any navy. Okay, so the archers here have just found the stone walls. And now you're wondering what you do with your life. Very awkward to know how to play this, because running across here can be very risky. There's also walls there from Sito, which I think are very good. Update on the fish. Margugu's going to lose a lot of fish. I think the positive is that he had so many of them for so long, and he won't lose all of them. Plus, he's got farms. He's fine. Sito's going to move his pressure around this way. Look at the eco lead for France. The army count is lower, but a lot of that navy or I guess army count, which translates into navy count, sorry, which translates into army, anyways, is on this area, which has only killed one person. And you don't have many people safe fishing for China. So great job here for Sizcon. I love the stone wall addition. It's one of those things, guys. If they had never added stone walls here, he'd be screwed. The stone walls were such a good addition. France clearly experienced in how this can pan out. And look at Duity. They actually need a transport ship here. Because Duity's going to try and get by, and he's going to see stone walls. He can't. The transport would be huge. Okay, I'm trying to track the get gray archers. Oh, and this... Oh, boy. Okay, so this is kind of walled. I mean, Margugu is going to be able to make knight soon. He's on the way to Castle Age. But there is plenty of gap here. And Clement is not expecting this. And obviously, he would have needed more walls. He would have needed to wall faster. This is the downside of red not really tracking gray at all or fighting gray. And man, did China need this. It's hard for me to say these walls are really too late for Clement. I think that it's probably just been discussed. And the stone walls made it look easy on the other side, but now you've got to drop defensive towers everywhere, and you have to wait for help. There's the transport ship for Duity. More archers will run around. The person who needs to save the day here, scouts over here from Margugu, by the way. There's still some scouts here from Sato. Looks like he did some damage. But yeah, the player who needs to save Clement is going to be Margugu, who will have stables. By the way, Teal is at 29 eco. 56 for Sato. France have a massive lead here. And I think we're seeing now that having your fish here is a mistake. I think having safe fish here would have been so helpful. Because look, like they won water here. I think ideally you want the player in Teal's position to have safe fish. And if they're going to contribute and help out in fighting for water in the north, you can do that still just by adding your docks there. Oh, man, more archers. Oh, more villagers going down for Clement. He's at 33 eco. Yeah. He has been well on his way to Castle Age, though, which I think puts him in a position where he can recover. And look at Margugu. 3 TCs soon for him as he drops the second and third. Knights are on the way. And that will be enough to clear all this up in the end. So I think if you look at the situation as a whole, it's game 5, which is, the final game in this series. Both teams are under some pressure because this is an elimination game. I think France are in the driver's seat. You have your 2 best players, Margugu and Sato, as safe as can be with a massive fish boom and great land economy. And they've got good civilizations to go for stable units. Teuton Paladins, they might be a bit slow. Look at the micro from Margugu there. But they still get Paladin. Human Paladins are super speedy. And it actually becomes very difficult to damage Margugu or Sato now if you're China. Honestly, I think now you kind of need to just hold on and make sure that someone doesn't die here and take this game a bit later. And in late game, I think both civilizations or stacks are quite strong, but yeah, that's your hope. A great job from Margugu again as he clears this up. And France has the lead of their dreams, you could say. 250 pop versus 198. And I think you just have to keep doing what you're doing. Look at the micro here. That's just a scout. Boink. Another kill there. Let's look at that Eco KD real quick. There's a lot of data here in team games, but Eco KD is somewhere. 12-4 for Sato. That's really good. 12-4, and he had the second TC, and he had fish. It's just like... it's not every day that you could have that big of an eco lead while also doing that level of damage. And it feels like this game's going so bad for China that if these Step Lancers would have actually gotten through there, this could have snowballed and got much worse. But I believe the walls are completed here, so the Step Lancers can continue through. And here the walls are going to complete here for Ming, who will have very little support ever coming through from Teal. I don't know who this is. Again, no one's clarified it for me. I'm going to rudely assume that this is Jibitong, because I think... Actually, you know what? Bad Koala or Jibitong, they both have such aggressive styles that they both could have just said, I want to be aggressive and kill fish. Yeah, Bad Koala is known for his forwards, honestly. So I think either player kind of have those weak games in them in team games, because sometimes in team games it's about being super solid overall with heavy eco. But honestly, I got to give it back. I got to give credit to France because of how well Red played to support his team. Oh, it's Jibbatong and I Buy Power. Oh, really? So they subbed out... Oh, interesting. Okay. Really complicated for me, obviously, to figure out who is who. I forgot he was on the team. And I Buy Power is also known as... shoot, I forget what he's actually... Something Heart. It's not Braveheart. I forget, but his usernames always have been I Buy Power. I remember in Titans League Silver I casted him. But man, this is only getting better for France. You just have all these little things adding up. You do have walls here. Sito could deny that if he pays attention to it. And I mean, Step Lancers running in everywhere. 80 eco for Sito, 80 eco for Margugu. What a really cool map though, right? And now we've got a bit of a siege push here from Sizcon. And what I like about this, by the way, is that Red he's applying enough pressure to freak Gray out where Gray might need to go for Redemption, Monks, and he might need to switch into Eagles. Basically, it delays Gray's boom, and he, behind it, he's just gone immediately for a big boom here. 4 town centers. He doesn't need to do a lot of crazy stuff because he has all the support from Sito. The mistake would be going all in against Gray. You're already ahead. Extend that lead even further. Margugu finding some damage in against Duity. Revenge for the WWC series. But man, oh man, oh man. Like, I mean, at least you've got Poles, right? Poles with super cheap knights. Maybe they can fight back here. I think the unique tech is in now. It is interesting to me that Sito is continuing to make the Step Lancers. This is pre-patch, by the way. We're not playing with any of the recent balance updates. I haven't felt like Step Lancers are bad, but I think the benefit of Step Lancers is how they engage. Stat-wise, the Knights are going to be way better long-term. I'd be shocked if he continues with the Steps. I think he's going to switch into Knights soon. I just think you've got to make sure you do that. But also, with such a lead, I think he could continue with the Step Lancers as well. What counters Step Lancers? Well, the benefit of the Step Lancer is that they have that one range, like I said. But they have weaker armor than a Knight, less HP than a Knight, and they have... So, in general, like, Knights and Mass Archers are good against them. The nice thing about human Step Lancers is just how fast they are, so you kind of decide whether you want to take a fight or not quite easily. But you could also say, like, Halbs. Yeah, most military units kill the Lancer. But can you realistically engage safely? This is like the second or third time Duity's had to transport stuff across. Super annoying to have to do this. And Duity has walled himself here. But again, I want to credit Clement. I know his position looks weak for his team, but walling as early as he did was huge. Same with Sizcon, who, by the way, is a player who played StarCraft competitively, who came into the scene, I want to say about a year ago now. Hasn't had any big showings. He played in Titans League Silver. There were a lot of French players in Titans League Silver, actually. Clement even made it into gold. Margugu is actually a platinum player now. Sito's back in gold. There are a lot of French players to talk about, but yeah, that right there is a perfect engagement for Step Lancers because the Knights couldn't really group up and get around. And instead, it looks like he's just mixing a couple camels. I don't mind that. We're going to have Imp in a minute for Sizcon, and he has a forward castle. We'll have Imp in a minute for Sito, and Sito has a ridiculous eco lead. Margugu is going to be Imp in 20 seconds. And as fun as this game has been to watch, and how unique it has been to see the pros and cons of all the things you can do on the map and all the different situations, it has not been as close a game as maybe I was hoping for coming into a Game 5 here. The resources are sky high. I think Margugu could actually stop Knight production and just wait for the fast Paladin click, as some players will do when they sense that they're not immediately needed in a fight. Look at the Step Lancers! That's so cool, man. And the devs buffed Step Lancers in the upcoming patch. I think Elite Step Lancer will... I think there's going to be a lot more people saying, how do you stop this unit? Might even lead to a nerf at some point. Like, I think there will be a situation in a big tourney at some point where it's going to click in pro players' minds that Elite Step Lancer is actually insane. Maybe this is the moment. But again, they were just buffed. in the upcoming patch. Elite Step Lancer. I actually forget what stats it adds. I know it adds HP, but I think it's a little bit of attack. It's probably a little bit of HP and a little bit of armor, because that's your standard changes when you go for an elite unit. But you can watch the changes. 100 HP, 11 attack. Didn't catch if there was any armor changes there. But green's still in Castle Age. And fighting in a choke, which is what the Step Lancers would want. Step Lancers are eating these knights like Sato and his team will eat celebratory baguettes if they win this game. Castle there for Sizcon. By the way, he's been making trebs on Gray. Ming is completely disconnected from his team. And again, they're just hoping to stall here. The Chinese players are known for being big fighters. They don't like to call it. Paladin will be in 2 minutes now for Margugu. And he's actually adding Petard somewhere. I think they're going to try and break through this wall right now. Yeah. They're going to try and break through. Oh, demo rafts. Okay, green. Let's go. Yeah, we have seen, like, if that's Cavalier versus Knight, there's no hesitation whatsoever from Sato there. So you could see, like, his hesitation going into engagements against Knights. Oh, God. Boom! I think that shows how he understands that the unit's a little bit situational. But Petards are going to bust their way through. They will find Duity in the Imperial Age with a castle. And he's just now getting his upgrades, which could mean that he could hold temporarily. But right now we have the Hufnitsa upgrade 30 seconds away for Clement. So he's going to have lots of these crazy cannons. He'll have Halb in front. Halb Hufnitsa is one of the most devastating comps in the game. We even have docks now for Sato. France is going insane here to try and finish these guys off. And Gray is kind of split up from his team right now. Like, he's got a fortified wall. And we've got Kameyuks. The Step Lancer Kameyuk combination. How sick is that? Both units have +1 range. It's like the Kameyuks are a Lancer on foot. And Kameyuk's a very good unit. I think also in the new patch, they're making them a little bit cheaper. Well, no, the Inca bonus is that units are a bit cheaper in each age, which will affect the Kameyuks. And Incas are definitely one of the biggest winners of this new patch. Oh, God, that castle never goes up. The GG is called. And in a game that was certainly a bit stompy, China B will be out of Nations Cup Silver. Again, they lost in the main bracket. This is double elim. They've now lost in the losers bracket. And France will continue to fight on, and we'll talk a little bit about who they face here in just a second. But the map was super cool. I like to post games on my YouTube channel that are close, right? This game wasn't as close, but it was really interesting, the difference in how they played this, right? Like, blue and gray, they prioritized land. And it was up to France to recognize the way we're playing this, we're not going to have a lot on land right away. So what do? We stonewall. So the stonewall was crucial to buy time. I know that Clement ended up taking damage later on, but he didn't take immediate damage. And especially on this side, like, it was even more important on this side. Sizcon, who went water, played very well, then stonewalled. I feel like you just make life so difficult for yourself. If you're in a position where you can safely fish and have a good economy, if you take your fish forward, and that's precisely what happened here. Also, one other thing that I think was good for France, again, I didn't cover all the early games, but I think the Cuman's civilization in Sato's position just feels so comfortable. Like, he added scouts. I wasn't even expecting him to do that. But being able to be safe and back away from everybody, and then have a fish boom with 2 town centers, it gave him a lead that really you couldn't compete with. It was a double whammy for Teal. He didn't have fish. He didn't have the 2 TCs in feudal. And then he ended up getting hit a couple times as well. Well played to France there. There's the KD for you. Sato, the king of France, he showed in that game how good he is. 154 kills, 65 units lost. Economically, you actually had Margugu ahead of him with more gold and more food, as he was going to put that towards paladins. Good stuff. So, again, it is my intention to cover a lot more Nations Cup. I would love to commit to covering the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the final at the very least, and get them to YouTube later. For now, though, I'd like to just look at the bracket and give you an idea of what things look like, because things are getting spicy now. So let's just take a quick glance. Okay, so again, it is double elim, which makes it a little bit complicated. In the main bracket, you've got Finland versus Argentina. Finland, I think, is the favorite there, but Argentina did beat France, which was slightly surprising for some people, not necessarily me. Loser there will still be alive and will go down here to face the winner of Brazil A and whoever plays Germany A. And whoever plays Germany A will be the loser of Canada-Chile, which I'll actually be casting next. I'm going to assume that's going to be Chile there. But a lot of big countries. France will move on to face the winner of Russia-Austria. So we've got, like, how many sets in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you've got, like, the actual final, which is 10. So there's a lot of games. Best of 5s, best of 7s is the... Why can't I see the actual game amount? Oh, there we go. I don't know what was happening, but it's best of 7 final. So if you're interested in more Nations Cup, I'll toss it up on my extras channel. The best games and the best sets near the conclusion of the event will come to the main YouTube channel, as I always do for events. And I'm looking forward to covering as much of it as I can. And as much of it as I can should mean almost everything over the next 3 or 4 weeks, because it's going to be pretty freaking hype. And I'm getting back into the groove of things.